We are going to move it on from that because this is another breaking story, and it's a very serious one indeed. Several individuals have been killed on Friday night, tonight, when a man stabbed passers-by at random with a knife at a city festival in the western German city of Solingen. That's according to German newspaper Bild. Bild reported that the event occurred at around 9:45 p.m. local time. Witnesses said that the perpetrator is still at large, apparently, and local police said they were not able to comment on that yet. This is clearly a very, very concerning incident, and there's quite a lot of footage coming out about it which would appear to indicate that this is very serious indeed. Joining us now is our Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, thank you very much. What do we know?
Well, we know that multiple people have been stabbed. There are reports of at least 3 people who have died. That has not been confirmed by the German authorities, but is being widely reported now in the German press. A number of other people stabbed and injured and being attended to by paramedics at the scene. Now, this was in Solingen, which is a western city in Germany. It's a reasonably small city, but it's near the larger cities of Düsseldorf and Cologne. It was a festival, we're told, that was celebrating the 650th anniversary of this city and also celebrating diversity in the city when, according again to reports, a single male, no reports of multiple attackers, but a man started randomly stabbing people in a central square in Solingen. That man has now disappeared. There is an active manhunt for this individual. Police helicopters, very significant policing resources that have been brought in to the central area of Solingen, and the authorities are telling people to stay at home, not to venture out, because of course this armed suspect, believed to still be armed with a knife, is out there. They don't know any more than that at this stage, but of course, as always with these incidents, Patrick, attention turns to the potential for this being a terrorist attack. It was certainly a random attack or an attack in a crowded place targeting multiple people. It absolutely fits the profile of what we've seen before in these targeted attacks where individuals have tried to kill and injure as many people as possible in crowded places.
No, indeed. And as far as we're aware at the moment, it appears that they have not managed to apprehend the individual involved, Mark. Is that right?
No, and that's the worrying aspect about this. Normally, of course, you will find that attackers can often stay around. I mean, depending on the ideology that's involved in an attack, quite often they want to be martyred. Some do disappear, and that makes it much more difficult for the police, the investigative services, to get a handle on exactly what's happened and what the danger to other people is, because as long as this person is at large, then clearly he poses a danger. So while that is the case, people are being, as I said, urged just to stay indoors, lock their doors, and not venture out onto the streets of this city. Lots of police resources now in a manhunt looking for this individual, in tandem, of course, with the paramedics, the emergency services who are dealing with multiple casualties, and some of them were told very seriously injured.
Yeah, indeed. So a massive search operation underway. And Mark, unfortunately, incidents like these appear to be becoming more and more common, don't they? We have to report on this stuff all too often now around mainland Europe and here in Britain. Obviously, we don't know the motive about this yet. I've got little to no description of an individual who may be responsible to this, and I certainly don't want to jump to conclusions. But these kind of mass marauding knife attacks are now a regular thing, unfortunately, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, quite frankly, the motivation, is one thing. What you have got is a mass stabbing attack, as you've said. Just as we saw in Southport, of course, there were these misleading reports on social media that pointed to this being an Islamist attack. It wasn't on that occasion, but it was. an absolutely horrific incident targeting multiple people. And at the very least, this is an absolutely horrific incident targeting multiple people. It will, in the fullness of time, become apparent what the motivation of this individual was. But I can tell you that right across Europe, security services have been on heightened alert in recent months for the potential of Islamist attacks. They were particularly concerned around the Olympics in Paris. That thankfully passed off without major incident. You've got the paramedics of the Paralympics coming up in Paris as well, so some added concern about that. But Germany has seen a number of Islamist-related attacks over the last year that have targeted politicians and other people in crowded places there that have been Islamist inspired. So there is real concern. And as I say, we don't know who the individual was, what his motivation was. But of course, the police and security services will be working as hard as they can to try to identify what a potential motive was.
Yeah, and what do we know about the German police, Mark? I mean, are they always armed? Are they? They seem to be very, very quick at responding to this. I mean, the incident is believed to have happened at around 9:45 p.m. local time. As we understand it, they were there almost immediately. There were, unfortunately, at least 3 fatalities. That's being reported. It's believed that potentially as many as 9 people have been quite seriously injured in this. We're seeing footage here of police helicopters in the air. We're seeing a huge police response down there. It was at this festival of diversity, as you said, so perhaps there was already a police and emergency service presence there, as you would expect at any kind of large gathering. But how do the German police normally approach this kind of stuff?
Well, they are an armed police service, Patrick, but they don't carry sort of automatic weapons as a rule. The beat officers. So what you have is police officers with sidearms, with handguns, and they will call in, just like they do in the UK, specialist resources if you're dealing with a marauding attack with one or more attackers on the loose and potentially causing a real risk to the public. Then those specialist units come in, so armed officers who are trained to a higher level and who carry long-barreled weapons and all manner of other paraphernalia that they need to be able to deal with the likes of a hostage situation or just an armed individual, whatever they might be armed with. So yes, they're an armed service, and you're right, they would have been on the scene pretty quickly. The fact this festival was underway, it will have at a level of policing and paramedic resource as any sort of large gathering of people does, in case something untoward happens. So they will have been there reasonably quickly. But this person, it happened quickly. This person then disappeared, it seems, just as quickly. And as yet, that very worrying news from the German authorities is that he is still on the loose.
Yeah, no, indeed. And, of course, these kind of things are very, very difficult to actually stop, Mark, aren't they? Because if it is, as all indication would appear to be at the moment, some kind of lone wolf marauding knife attack, unless you happen to have prior intelligence on an individual or they are under surveillance at the time, it's very difficult to stop that kind of thing. But it just adds, again, doesn't it, to this sense of unrest. I mean, we had the Taylor Swift issue in Vienna recently, where there was, so she had to cancel some shows, didn't she, which led to an increased police presence here. That sense, really, that now just attending a mass gathering poses some kind of problem. But, yes, very difficult to stop and intervene in this kind of thing, isn't it?
It's one of the biggest concerns for the security services at the moment is this sort of divergence from these plots that used to take place with multiple individuals planning quite sophisticated terrorist attacks, now moving towards, and it really happened with Islamic State in earnest when the IS group emerged in Iraq and Syria. They as opposed to Al-Qaeda, which tried to go for more spectacular attacks, told their followers just to get behind the wheel of a car, just pick up a brick or a knife or anything and go out and kill in the name of whatever perverted religion they happen to be following. So that is a big concern for the security services, because if you've only got one individual who is not colluding with others as such, is maybe just being fed from the internet and whatever hateful ideology is pouring and out on the internet, then the police and the security services don't really know what that individual might be consuming and how they're being influenced. And then it's as simple as just heading to the kitchen drawer and taking out a deadly knife or getting behind the wheel of a vehicle. So it's very difficult to get any kind of any ahead of any attack like this, and until it's too late, until it's actually happened, Patrick.
Look, Mark, thank you very, very much for keeping us up to date on that and giving us a lot more information as well. Your expertise is much appreciated, certainly when we've got times like this. That's Mark White there, who's our Home and Security Editor.